Okay, can anyone hear me? That's kind of weird. Okay. There we go. Kind of, sorta. Why am I echoing? All right. So, here we go, everyone. Why am I echoing? Okay, there we go. Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm echoing. Okay, here we go. Maybe that worked. Okay, there we go. All righty. We're gonna try this. No telling if it'll be. Kind of dead tonight. Oh, whatever, man. We're gonna start getting set up. I'm gonna pull up the video from. Right. What we're gonna do is we're gonna pull up the video from Citcon, double check, cross reference everything so far this year. And no, a lot of stuff has made it in patches so far. Remember, guys, we're in August, right? Can anyone hear me actually? I am curious. Can anyone actually hear me at all? I know for a fact I might be just yelling into the void. Do I have any sound, guys? Might have to experiment with. 2954. So where's 2955? The short video. No, it's not that far back. Okay. So Aurora Mark II. Welcome to Nick's. Hold on. This thing. Okay. Hey, Thorn, can you hear me? Okay, good. Just making sure somebody can actually hear me. Yeah. Trying to find the Citcon video from last year. And I'm not having much luck. That's really strange. Hmm. Five. Oh. Gotta close that. Got it. Uh-huh. You funny. Okay.
If you can hear the sound of my voice, please type Disco is a real cool guy in chat.
No. You're a loser.
I see Twitch, but YouTube. Disco is a real cool guy, YouTube. There you go. Kenzo says Disco is not a cool guy. All right, we're going to start our 30-minute countdown in about 2 minutes.
All right, we're gonna review this on the important parts.
All right, next
This
question.
is the audio test.
How many fingers am I holding up?
We're gonna skip Chris Roberts' talk. The purpose of this tonight, chat, is remember, I forgot to do this earlier in the year. This is approximately 3/4 of the way, or well, 2/3 of the way through the year. You know, so what we're gonna do is double check what has made it into the patches all the way up to 4.9 and see what still needs to be put in. Sound fair?
With the foundational technology now in place, the content development of the game is no longer restricted, allowing us to forge ahead with building out our first 5-star systems. Nyx will see the much-loved Levski landing zone added back to the verse, while also bringing you one of its most iconic landmarks, the Glacium Belt. Here, you'll experience a new combined arms operation that will introduce...
That's what I'm concerned about, Thorn. There has been a definite slowdown in physical location releases ahead of something. And I think it is Squadron. Maybe I'm just stupid, but I really, really think there's a definite hushed murmur in the background of what's coming, you know?
New factions and new adventures for you to discover. With this edition of our 3rd star system, we're also going to do something that's at the heart of the entire Star Citizen experience, and that is to build it right in front of you. As we have done this year, with the addition of several major locations, such as the Hathor facility or the Lazarus complex, we will continue to unveil new Nyx content throughout the year. It's a slightly different approach to how we deliver Pyro, but we feel this gets the content into your hands sooner and shows our intent as we continue our march towards 1.0. I'm so incredibly proud of the work our teams have done and are continuing to do, and we're excited to have you on this next step of our journey. And as with any journey in Star Citizen, that begins with a little story.
In 2025, we introduced 2 major storylines spanning multiple patches, creating a living backbone for adventure across the universe. The first was Pyro Must Burn. It connected Stanton to Pyro and introduced the Frontier Fighters, who are relentless, brutal, and determined to wipe out any threats that cross them. And with this month's release, you'll now take part in the conclusion to that storyline. The second was Science Run Amok, with the regen crisis throwing the Empire into chaos, and you all jumping in to help the various corporations respond. Through that journey, we pulled back the curtain on ASD and its shady practices, uncovering long-forgotten Onyx facilities, and met new characters like Dr. Logan Yorit and Detective Arkham Meller of the Hokro Agency. And just like the Pyro Must Burn storyline carried us into a new system, Science Run Amok is now setting the stage for Nyx, the next step in the larger story we're telling on the road to 1.0. As this new chapter of Star Citizen begins, let's hear from just a few of the team members working to bring this next era of our universe to life.
When the Nyx system was first discovered, the United Empire of Earth, the UE, came out and did scans and kind of found out that the system wasn't really worth settling. The planets were too hard to terraform, the resources were too tough to get, so they opened it up. And one company saw opportunity where the UE didn't, QV Planet Services. And so they expanded into the system and tried to mine as much as they could, making a very slim margin by the sheer quantity of resources they were pulling out.
The system itself sort of ran its course from sort of a large corporate interest perspective, and then was mostly left abandoned.
Now, this ended up being the ideal situation for the People's Alliance, who were a group of revolutionaries who were trying to overthrow the dictatorship of the Messer regime that was going on in the empire at the time.
So they went to the Nix system and established what became known as Levski. They wanted to make it everything that the UEE wasn't at this time.
They set up what they saw as their ideal society, where everyone's voices would be heard, where everyone would be equal. But they've fallen onto hard times. So Nix today is kind of at an interesting point in its history. Now that the UEE has kind of transformed itself into a democratic society, what is their role? What are the People's Alliance rebelling against? And they still see the empire as being inherently unfair. They see their role as still trying to create a free and fair society. But on the other hand, they have more problems than ever, and there's new threats lurking around every corner. And they have to ask, are they prepared to handle that? Or do they need to turn to the UEE for help?
Making a star system is you approach it from kind of two angles in a weird way. What is this system bringing to the gallery? How does this new system plug into it, and what does it bring to the table from a sort of a flavor experience? We want to make sure that whatever it's bringing to the company is unique and has some flair to it.
Fair.
So the Nix system is a remote system where people want to go and live free outside of the pressure and influence of the UEE. It's a remote and rugged system with a lot of hostility coming from the ever-present threat of Vandal.
It's kind of like a frontier-esque thing. It's not lawless like Pyro, it's just kind of out there. Pyro's more like a Mad Max wasteland, and Nix is more like Silverado or like Deadwood, right? It's kind of like a smaller scope.
The emptiness and the loneliness is the defining factor. You're still going to find gangs, you're still going to find hostile presences, but it's where people go if they want to live off the grid.
The People's Alliance is the main peacekeeping force in Nix.
They were unhappy with the direction that the empire was going under the Messers. They got out. They said, we're just going to start from scratch, build our own society, but build it the way that we think it needs to be built.
They're not perfect. They're just people, but they're doing their best. They want to help keep Nix safe and make it prosper.
They are trying to do the best that they can, but are faced with the realities of dealing with people, which is tricky.
The Pyro star is quite a warm star. Stanton star is quite neutral. And the Nix is a little bit cooler. The system has its star, and it has this dark, really, really dense gas sort of nebulous cloud. And it has points of light scattered around it, and those points of light in this gas cloud is really, really hazy. So because Nix is bordering Vandal space, it was important that we have a gap in the Nix gas cloud where you could sort of just, in between the clouds, see a piece of the Vandal space. It feels so close that it's even like protruding some red light.
I wonder when we're going to get Virgil.
The level designers are using it as an actual visual indicator of where to place more dangerous POIs. So if you point your ship in the direction of it, you should find, as we build it out, that you will be in more and more danger. And I think that's really cool. To give more atmosphere, I was testing out adding some sort of space snowflakes, essentially. So when you look towards the sun, you can sort of see that sort of like sparkle. But then when you look away from the sun, you'll see the reflections and sort of like little glints of light. For the jump points in Nyx, we'll have 2 on this release. We'll have one from Pyro to Nyx and one from Stanton to Nyx. It should be going from Nyx to Castra, but we're essentially bypassing Castra temporarily.
Hey, we want to make sure you can get there any way you want.
Glacian Belt is a huge asteroid belt that is in sort of the middle of the system.
The Glacian Belt is a combination of a bunch of technologies that we already had. The asteroid fields we use for planetary rings and big gas clouds, and it's combining them to make something completely new that we've just not seen before.
It's full of resources that are still left unharvested because it's kind of a tricky spot for mining. It's not the easiest place to go, but that means that there's still a lot of opportunity for independent miners to go out there.
So the rocks in Nyx are a bit more sharp, like sorts of like icy look, rocky, cliff-like, very different from those in the Pyro and the Stanton.
One of the big differences too is all of that extra added movement that just adds a little bit of extra flair.
It's also a good hiding spot for people who are trying to elude capture, maybe set up ambushes, that type of stuff.
Cliff-like. Always feel
Very
way more
different
interesting
from those
flying in those spaces than just, you know, through empty void.
And as we build out the Glacian Belt over the next year, lots of places to put new content.
Delamar is a very large asteroid in the Glacian Belt that QV Planet Services had built a mining base on that got taken over by the People's Alliance and renamed Levski.
Right.
Levski is our first and biggest social outpost for Nyx.
It's kind of like the place where you stop before you do your panning. So it's kind of a San Francisco before you go out to the gold rush.
It's going to be the central hub for trade and hauling and all of the commerce within Nyx and also from Nyx to other systems. But it does have a seedy underlayer to it.
Over the years, you're sort of improving the generation method of those asteroids to culminate towards this specific point to make large, explorable location. When you fly towards the Levski, you see this huge gas ring around it, scattered small, mid-sized pieces of the asteroids.
Well, Levski is immediately apparently unique by the fact that it's a facility clamped onto the side of an asteroid. The breathtaking views of looking into the belt instantly gives it a unique charm and flavor.
As you approach your initial...
Still can't believe we are already this far along. We already have Levski back. Remember, for many years, we didn't even have Levski game. Continuing.
You see a very dramatic borehole that goes all the way through the asteroid. You will also see growing out from there and alongside Levski, there will be landing pads along what I'd call the spine. Lots of industrial pipes and transport systems to bring out the refined mining materials when it was a mining station.
Before, we were using an actual planet, so we had all of the space available to place all of these structures. But now it kind of meant that we had to create an asteroid which has the appropriate size to...
If we took the whole shot of the asteroid, you will see that there is an area to fly underneath. We plan on bringing in whole sea gameplay, so this is exterior cargo elevators, so as a team you will be able to load and unload cargo.
There's a lot more movement on the exterior, such as the cargo trains going around tracks. It's now going to be fully EVA-able. There will be walkways around the main landing zone to walk on using gravity plates, but you can drift off and kind of go wherever you want. They can explore fully the whole place, which is great.
Unlike the majority of anarchists living in Pyro, There are people here in Nix that care.
It's not a downtrodden or derelict, dilapidated location. It has a sense of order.
But only where the People's Alliance has people living.
We've had Levski before, and we've updated it quite substantially to be more in line with the newer features that have been put in since, but also visually. And there's been a lot of quality of life fixes that we've wanted to add and bring up to like a good standard for a landing zone.
Gracing the main lobby of Levski is a large statue of Anthony Tanaka, who was a child worker.
And was being worked to death, all of them were. And Anthony Tanaka just had a break and just said no, and stood up against the foremen, the supervisors, the managers, the guards, and was killed for it. And so he became a sort of a figurehead.
And kind of was one of the linchpin moments in seeing the fall of the Messer regime.
So if you take the elevator up to the top deck, you'll see the top view and the cargo area as well. So you can go through the cargo shop. You've got your normal kind of cargo needs. You'll have ability to trade and buy your tractor beam and other gear that you need. So if you were to die in the Nix system, then one of the places you might come out from is the hospital in Levski, which...
Be right back, chat. Sorry I stepped away. Late dinner, guys. You know. All right, we're going to keep playing.
It's called the Mercy Hospital.
So Mercy Hospital is just basically, it's a local med station for all the residents of Levski, anybody traveling through the system. Again, they're trying to provide as good medical help for people as they can.
I'm going to have to cut my window off.
When you arrive at the hub's location, you'll be presented with a lobby, elevator bank, and then you will take that transit to the hab room. So within that room will be pods.
And that's where the original miners would have lived. They're not the nicest, and they're a bit messy, but they're a home for people in Levski. If you head down to the lower view deck, you'll go through into the Grand Barter, which is your main social and commercial area of Levski.
This is where you will see market sellers selling their wares. There will be stalls, there will be kind of more embedded shops.
And that includes things like Corderies, which is your armor shop, and also conscientious objects for weapons.
I didn't think I
There's
would miss
also
it as
one of my
much as
favorite
I
places,
did.
Cafe Musée, which is where you can go down into some of the more rocky depths and grab yourself a drink, and you never know who you meet down there.
I was so happy to see
If you
Levski
explore a bit
again.
more around the Grand Barter, there's other routes around and little side passages. There's another shop that's away from that area called Teachers.
Teach's Ship Shop is basically where you would go if you were looking to pick up a used ship, buy some ship parts, fix up your old ship, find some new stuff, sell some scrap.
We've closed up Dumpers Depot for Levski, and everything that used to be sold there will now be sold at Teachers. Another new area, as well as the cargo shop that we've added, is the refinery deck for Levski. That's where you can take your processed goods, not just from Levski, but from the rest of the Nix system, and refine and sell those goods there. As a lot of the content in the next coming releases for Nix is going to be mining related. So it's super important that Levski is a really nice hub for mining type of gameplay. So we're really happy to bring Levski back into the...
Okay, pause there for a second. Remember what they just said, Thorn. Said most of the updates coming up would be for mining. So far, there have been quite a few updates for mining. Breaker stations, the Betagili missions. What else? What else am I forgetting? A couple of other things too. That is true, but I meant in general that held true. That statement still held very true. Even a year later. I would say that this comment has aged actually pretty well, wouldn't you? For the most part. Perfectly? No. But been a very industrial year. Exactly. All right, we'll keep playing.
Game. It's been gone for quite a few years now.
I think it really provided a unique environment of it's run down, but the people who live there love it and are working their hardest to make it a great place to live.
This is a location that has a lot of nostalgia for you guys, and we don't want this just to be a re-release. We do want you to go, wow.
It's not going to be as complete as Pyro as it first came out, but it's going to be our first iteration, and you're going to be able to see it grow as we work on it.
Like with everything, we're always learning and improving and finding new ways.
I mean, is there anything more Star Citizen than just building the system while the players watch us build it around them?
It's going to add a nice dynamic to Stanton and be a much more calming of, style system than Pyro.
The people that would have played it before are going to love to see this come back, and the people that haven't seen it before, it's going to be a great new location.
This is the first time that I'm going to be able to touch stuff and kind of bring my own content to the game, and that's really exciting to me.
Levski coming back into the game is a huge milestone personally for me. So I worked on the original quite some time ago, so seeing it come back and updated and improved and better is fantastic.
Yep, totally agree.
So we've talked about Levski, we've talked about the Glacian Belt, but you're probably asking yourself, what's the new gameplay activity we're going to be doing? So let's find out.
Welcome to Nyx is your first experience in a new space station in a new solar system.
It's a mystery to be solved. There's things for the player to explore and look into. There's going to be some twists and turns, of course, some combat, and if you're lucky enough to survive, maybe some good rewards.
This is basically a continuation of kind of our ASD storyline. So in the closing out what we had called our Science Run Amok storyline, we had revealed that ASD had been procuring sort of very black market illegal stuff in order to conduct their experiments. So this mission is basically going to be continuing on that trail.
So the Navy has learned that illegal tech is being sold in the UAE, and they're hiring Intersect to investigate. Intersect Defense Solutions is the leading military defense contractor in the UAE. So the Navy contracts with them a lot for doing various kind of military operations that they don't want to handle themselves. We didn't want players to be working directly for the Navy. The Navy just doesn't call up random citizens and ask like, hey, if you're free, can you fly a helicopter? I guess as a player, when you can think about like, oh, where am I gonna be doing missions that are capital ship battles or large fleet scale stuff or military operations, that's all gonna come from Intersect Defense Solutions. Intersect have discovered the source of the illegal tech is in the NIC system and an old abandoned QV Planet Services logistics station that's come back online.
So they want the players to figure out what's going on.
Yep.
So when you come out of Quantum and you start your approach vector to the objective, you'll be weaving through asteroids, going through the Glacian belt, and slowly the station will reveal itself. Now this is an old QV logistics station. It's pretty beat up, it's pretty derelict, but there's some points of interest that you'll spot as you go through. So the station itself shares design cues from old Pan Am stations found in Pyro. This architectural design found its way over to the NIC system as the system was being established, but you'll also see some additional design cues that QV Planetary Services were adding, so it's a nice transition architectural point. It's fairly skeletal in design. You'll see logistics yards and cargo yards, but also facilities pinned inside the asteroid, creating this network of facilities. You'll notice there's a Polaris near the main hub. It's not a normal Polaris. It's damaged, it's broken. It's not a standard corporate Polaris. So at this point, you should be asking yourself, who does this belong to? Away from the Polaris, you'll see struts leading to asteroid bases. Now, these asteroid bases are locked, so you don't know exactly what's inside just yet. But all of this comes together to form the playground for the mission to take place. So not only is this facility unabandoned, but it's also under attack from a surprising but familiar foe.
First time in the PU, the Vandal.
So the Vandal are
I will say this. The entrance of these guys into the PU suggests to me Squadron, when I first saw this, Thorn, this indicated to me that Squadron 42's production / everything else was wrapping up. When I first saw this a year ago.
nomadic, very, very, very violent spacefaring race.
They've been striking out against outposts and such in the NIC system. They don't really know what they want, don't know why they're doing it, but it seems like whoever's running the station is really pissed them off.
Vandal raiding parties have been rioting in the system, and they're unaffiliated to any clan. There's small groups coming in and picking at them. But as time goes on, those raids are getting bigger and more frequent.
They'll be the scythes that you're familiar with, glaives and blades that we all know and hate, and a new craft for the PU, the Vandal Stinger.
You will be contacted by some civilians on arrival asking you for help.
So at this point, you have a choice. You can either bug out, mission over, or join the fight. This will be the first time since the PU launched that you'll be able to fight against Vandal aggressor ships.
This fight will be intense. The player should be able to deal with them, but they will have to be prepared and they'll have to come back in to fight off this initial wave, and that won't be the end of it.
I'm on the fence.
After you fight off the Vandal ships, the mysterious inhabitants of the station invite you to come on board.
Which Intersect sort of will encourage you to do because it'll help further their investigation against what's happening here, why these QV stations have come back online.
You dock your ship, you board the station, and it turns out the inhabitants here have a real surprise for you.
The player will be immediately ambushed. These guys are not your friends.
Of course, it's not going to be easy because the people that are inhabiting the station are going to fight you every step of the way.
The fight will be challenging, but this definitely will be the warm-up phase of this mission. This will be the players getting a sense of what exactly is going on there, who these new people are. They'll be in unfamiliar armor. They'll be wielding unfamiliar weapons. And we want you to get a sense that you are in a new place, in a new territory, fighting a new faction.
So after you survive this initial ambush, you get back in touch with Intersec, and obviously the question is, who are these people? Why are they attacking? Why are the Vandal attacking them?
At this point, there's more going on here than anyone thought. The directive from Intersect is to explore the station and collect as much information as you possibly can.
Along the way, you're going to get to explore some new areas.
It's not just the space station. There's the disabled capital ship. There's asteroid bases nearby with obvious installations there, other forces that the Vandal have been attacking. There's a debris field.
Explore the locations in any order you want and try to find out who these people are and why the Vandal are after them.
You'll find new clues. You'll find ways to solve the puzzle of what's going on at the space station and find out what kind of loot they have for you now that you've beat them.
And of course, this is a legally open station, so anything you find is yours to keep and sell, maybe even give to Wicklow. This isn't just a one-time event, this is a permanent sort of mission that we're going to be adding to the game.
You can go back and repeat this mission and find ways to do it even better, even faster.
There'll be a different story and different flavor. Obviously, we can't have the same thing happen every time. There'll be other missions that Intersec will offer to you based on the evidence that you found.
Now you know the real story, and you can start digging and giving more information to Intersec along the way.
I'm super excited to finally see the Vandal in the PU.
I'm excited to bring cool Vandal ship combat to SC.
Players in the PU will now get to face down these awesome ships and get a taste of like we already have it in Arena Commander, where you get to fight the Vandal swarm, and being able to do that in the PU is going to be, I think, a heck of a lot of fun.
So this marks a great milestone for us for not only pushing hard and adding great content this year, we're also being able to introduce the next star system and introducing the next landscape to tell new stories and add new gameplay beats into the ever-expanding universe. So we'll leave 4.4 there. If you're at one of the watch parties, please raise a toast to the great work that all the teams have been doing this year. And I'll be right back in just a few minutes to look ahead at some of the things coming in 2026.
Hello, everyone.
At Cloud Imperium Games, we believe art inspires the best technology. And for art, change this and reimaginationally, this approach was always flexible, but things just still sometimes felt like interpretations. Now this was a super hard problem. With Genesis, we've made a complete paradigm shift to how we do things.
Now this does arrive.
Biomes are now created based on the physical data sets, with the assets being spawned whenever and wherever the correct criteria is found. So when you see a forest...
Cutter. I've got a few ships, but the Draco is really cute, so...
They have interstellar cargo missions.
One thing that we're looking...
Milestone, and it deserves a major system. We'll start with the People's Alliance and Anvil Aerospace. Anvil is a very military base.
Okay, we've already seen the ships. So ships are par for the course. Not what we want.
the universe here and there to better suit our needs. That goes for both you and us. Let's start this part of the show with a look at how crafting is going to change everything from resource gathering, refining, and even combat when it comes online in the next few months.
Crafting's already received
First
several
version of crafting is going to be quite small in scale. We're going to use it as a kind of a concentrated effort to allow the players to experience the initial UI, the flow of gathering materials of different quality, and using those to craft items which are better than what they have currently in the game.
The first version is going to be primarily FPS items that you can craft, weapons and armor.
Now to
For Star Citizen, crafting is our primary progression mechanic. Star Citizen isn't your standard MMO. We don't have levels. We have ships, we have gear, we have things that you create in the world, you perfect, you research, you improve. And those items, those ships, those vehicles, the armor and weapons, that's how you progress in Star Citizen. Crafting isn't just a progression mechanic for creating new items. It's also a fundamental change to how we handle resources in the game. The materials that you collect, how you refine them, quality matters.
Crafting the weapons, you'll be able to have some quality materials to influence the item stats on those weapons.
It'll be somewhat random, potentially weighted on the location of the material. Some will have a higher chance of higher quality. And once you take those materials to your crafting bench, the fabricator, you can use them to craft, and the different attributes will be increased based on the quality of the materials you use. It's not just iron ore anymore, it's iron ore of the quality that you know will get you the stats for the item that you desire. And it's not just mining, it's essentially every resource we can get our hands on.
To support this, we also need major changes to inventory so that all of these new resources that you're collecting, you can see what you have, you can order it better, you can understand what you have in your inventory.
We won't have the new refining crafting system yet. We'll be using the existing ones. Those will pass the quality through into the refined materials, which you can then take to your crafting machine and start making your personal items. Once you have your blueprint and your quality materials that you've refined, then you can put them together on the item fabricator. This will be pretty much what we showed in last year's Citcon with the UI letting you assign your quality resources to different aspects of the item. Once you're happy with what you
so far, Thorn, I would say we're about 9 out of 10 items in the game so far, apart from Genesis and the Nyx planets. You know what I mean? And maybe the instancing. Yeah. This is actually pretty good. They're gauging themselves a lot better with what they can get done in a year. So there's not as much overlap.
see on the preview, you'll be able to click to craft, and it'll get queued up, and your result will be produced sometime later. You'll be able to get the new crafting machine from shops in most landing zones. You'll be able to bring it up on your freight elevator and use it in your personal hangar.
It should also be mentioned that now crafting has expanded to ship components, shields, things like that, beyond just weapons and armor, even undersuits. And they're fixing to do, I believe, other things as well. I could be wrong, right, Thorn?
Or tractor beam it around and stick it on a ship if you want to use it from there.
Can't remember exactly what they said.
There'll be a small amount of blueprints you get credited to your account just to test and mess around, but the vast majority of them will be earned through missions, and then you can use that blueprint to craft the item that it is that you've got the blueprint for. So it should be a good reason to go and test all the different various missions in the game.
Yep.
The advantage of crafting your own items is that they'll be better than anything that you could buy from shops. You'll be able to increase and improve item stats that are relevant to your gameplay. Maybe a gun will shoot faster, maybe it'll do some more damage, or your armor will have greater resistances against environmental effects or incoming fire. You might be wondering, what about the upgrade and research? That will be coming in a subsequent release. We're happy with this initial scope for crafting.
It's going to be so valuable for us as devs to kind of get the metrics in, get the feedback in, because then we can make the changes that, you know, they only become...
Oh, yeah. Thorn is right. Just remember, Genesis is going to have Starchitect as well. Yes, exactly. And they're going to try to sneak that in to 4.11. Do you remember them saying that a few weeks ago, Thorn? Or something like that? 4.11 will have Genesis in it, to a degree. Or something like that. I can't remember. Was it Starchitect or something? I can't remember which it was. It's one of the two. It's one or the other. I can't remember.
Obvious, so to speak, when you have kind of mass amounts of data.
But that also has Starchitect in it. So that may be the foundational tech for it. If I remember straight. It's not just
mass amounts of users using it. So I'm very excited to get it out in the wild.
It's our intention to get crafting out in tech preview by the end of the year and get the testing we need so we can release it when it's ready.
Yeah, and I love being able to make my own weapon.
You'll be crafting your own experiences in the Star Citizen universe. But what about us? Where do we get to hone in and craft a bespoke experience here and there, specifically tailored to individual or small group play? Well, that's where instancing comes in. And I'm going to let Benji tell you a little bit more.
We're bringing instancing to Star Citizen in 2026. Why are we doing it, and how will it work? So if you've played any content in 2025 in Star Citizen, you know that most of these areas were in actual PvP zones where other players could interfere. Instancing is a means to create an environment where designers can create tailored content that's tuned to a specific group size, but it is also protected from outside interference. It's not to say that we don't love PvP. I'm a PvP guy. PvP me, bro. But like most MMOs, a good balance between a dangerous overworld and a protected instances is needed. Right now, we don't have this ability, and this is something we really need in order to give you a sense of progression.
Yeah, I think
that
you're right
is
on that.
Tailored and balanced to a tunable amount of groups, so the difficulty matches the group size. There's a beginning and an end. It doesn't mean that that doesn't fit in our overworld strategy, meaning getting to the instance is dangerous, exiting the instance is dangerous, or can be interfered with others. But at least when you're playing the content, we can actually make something that's curated for one experience. So before anybody says this is only a PvE thing, this technology can also be applied to unlock curated PvP experiences that are as seamless as the PvE ones. So it's not about one thing or the other. It's really about unlocking developers' ability to create curated content. So that said, how will it work? Instancing is really an evolution over static to dynamic meshing. We want your instances to be as seamless as your instance hangars, meaning that when you take an elevator, you exit the elevator, you're inside the instance. A gateway opens, you cross that gateway, you're now into your instances. Could be also a quantum jump into an instance that you don't even see. The transition is just like a dynamic mesh transition. And so throughout the universe, we will be able to add these areas that are open or closed instances that allow you to join in either with a party and have a reserved instance for your party, or join an open instances that has a number of slots. And so some of those areas will be completely instanced on different servers. This allows us to leverage the compute power of the entire mesh. The closed ones will be really to drive one piece of content. You enter and exit seamlessly, just like we do with your instance hangars currently. Let's go and find out what one of our first instances will be.
Siege of Arzen was an event we did previously, which created a gameplay scenario where the player had to run through and progress through contested islands of Arzen. This was a high-paced, high-intensity event but it struggled a little bit from its technical execution. But now with the introduction of instancing, it gives us an opportunity to evolve it and modify it and make it better for you and a small group to work through that activity.
It is an event that I had the honor of pretty much solely designing and building all of the logic and having the stress of trying to get it working.
Agent Dooley from the CDF puts the call out for volunteers because basically the Nine Tails have taken over sort of a cluster of floating platforms in Orison.
And you are there to kill these sort of lieutenants of this terrorist organization and take back control. So in our current thinking, Siege of Orison is designed for about a 15 to 20 people fire team. So you, your friends, or your org will go in, you'll all have sort of dedicated roles. Some of you might be the tank who brings in the heavy weapons and sort of pulls the fire. Some of you might sit at the back and be the sniper and pick people off who are a bit further to make the advance easier. Some of you will be the medic who sole job is going to be revive and look after the rest of your team and the health of them. And some of you will be the people who push for the objectives to try and get sort of most of the mission done. The event was designed for about 15 to 30 people, but when we released it, we fixed the problem with 2 DGSs on one server that was fighting for resources. And with that, we also upped the player count to 100. So when it first debuted, it was already too full for what it was designed for.
It was a massive operation at the time. I think that bringing it back and giving it a refresher will be a fantastic addition back into the PU.
So imagine if Siege was a instance that you could go in and play solo, or if it was a public event that you could go with your friends, or you could join up with random players on the server. There's lots of ways that we want to take a look at Siege, how we can make it a more approachable piece of content.
I'm excited, to say the least, to bring back Siege of Orison to 2-star citizen and to sort of have it be one of the first tests that we have for instancing and really get it back to sort of a core experience point where it should be. So while the next season is quite heavily focused on Nyx, I'm also very happy that we're not...
Thorn, I know this, my new favorite friend gun, the bullpup is going to be my friend in this one, right? Yes.
Not really ignoring our other 2 systems of Standard and Pyro, and we're going back there and we're sort of improving and expanding on the player's life in those 2 systems as well.
I'm also gonna have to be my team on the super heavy side. Just
yes. And while things like Genesis, interstellar hauling, crafting, Siege of Orison, and more will reveal next year, will continue to bring life into the existing universe outside of Nyx. There's still one more exciting use for instancing we're building right now. It's an earlier look than normal, and some of it is still in white box, but we're excited to share the first look at a major content release of 2026 and what it means for progression-based gameplay. As an evolution of our Building Interior initiative, you won't discover it by accident, because when it's complete, it will be found deep within the heart of Levski itself. This is the Municipal Works.
I think they did, because there for a while it was such a heavy-ass gun.
So inside the facility, you'll find huge vaporization chambers, old processing plants, industrial tunnels, and eventually into the old turbines, which are still pumping heat into the old rock.
So this is the true story of Levski. This is a place where you won't see in Lorville, you won't see Night 18 or the other landing zone. It's the pure basis of Levski. You will have, of course, metal and tunnels and, more structural plays, but you will also see a lot of rock and cave. So it's not a place you go to take vacation. It's really a place you go to fix stuff.
Not everybody has what it takes to come down there and do the job that needs to be done.
All of your sewage systems have stopped working. Everything's going to quite literally. And so the player is tasked with their group, most likely, to go into there, take out the outlaws, and get the facility working again.
So let me get this straight. This is literally a mission to fix the toilets of Levski.
It's not just the toilets. You're also trying to turn on the air. Air is a bit more important. It still works in Levski, but, they have, maybe polluted air because it's not being cleared properly. It's not just for the toilet.
Poop mission.
It's also a little bit more exciting than just going into like some vents. It's like a free layered system where there's 3 chapters.
This will be mission-driven and repeatable. Everything from mining to salvage to combat to investigation, a variety of roles. Narratively, it's a real sandbox. Every progression you do will unlock a new area that will link back to previous areas, complexifying the play space.
We've been wanting to have more gameplay around landing zones for a long time. Now that we have instancing tech coming online, that allows us to do something that provides really cool gameplay close to a landing zone.
With the missions, that's what will create different overlays or change the spaces or change the progression, but it'll be the instancing which will enable us to create tailored content to you and your group. So you're going to be able to play a part of it, make your progress, and then log off. And then the next time you come online, you'll be able to pick up where you left off.
It's going to allow players to return back to it at different states depending on how much you've progressed and be able to keep it going until you've reached sort of the end of the whole 3 chapters.
Where you're not going to have other people getting in your way. It's you, your team, your party.
It's a way of giving players content where they know exactly where they're at and they can keep going back to it and improving sort of their own progress and ability to jump through them in faster and faster times as well.
So that's a look at how we'll be allowing players and developers alike to create more crafted experiences within the greater sandbox of the persistent universe. Okay, is that it for me at this point, Jared?
Almost. Throw it back to me, and I've got one more for you after this.
Back to you, Jared.
Done today, and look at the year ahead. So, Rich, thanks for taking the time to join us.
Well, you're welcome.
All right, so we're going to jump right into it. Everybody knows the only constant in game development is change. So I'm going to ask you outright, what's changed about the road to 1.0?
Well, fortunately nothing. It still remains our North Star. The team is busy working towards that goal in the background, and every patch this year has moved us towards that goal. And if you haven't watched the Star Citizen 1.0 presentation from last year, I highly recommend you do so, because everything in it is still relevant as of today.
You mentioned every patch this year has moved us towards that goal, so I want to dig deeper into that. We've done, at this point, 9 releases in this year, more than any year prior. How does each one of these
was a great
not just sit as their own moment in time, but move us forward on this road to 1.0?
Well, last year I discussed the framework of 1.0, how all those complex systems can tie together. And one of the core aspects of that was the main story, which became the spine of the universe, which brought all of the locations, mission givers, guilds, and all the different areas of the game to the players. Now, what I didn't talk about from last year was all of the content that was going to support that framework, add the flesh to the bones, should we say. And I think that's where this year has moved us towards that goal. If you think about previous events of previous years, they've generally been locations that we've put into the verse, but they've been transient. We've taken them away, like Siege of Orison or Zenithreat. We've added them to game, and then they've been moved away. And I think with the addition of the patches this year, when you look at the Hathor facilities, Onyx facility, these are permanent additions to the world that not only have their own story, as when we release them with the patches, but they'll also become points of interest and areas that the larger 1.0 narrative will utilize.
Since we're on story, I'm going to stay with this here. Since we launched the PU back in 2015, it's always been this sandbox where players can do what they want. They can bring their own story to the verse, and that'll never change. But how important is it that we also build this concurrent narrative of our own, this crafted experience, if you will, alongside that?
Well, we're trying to create a living, breathing universe. And that includes both the player stories that you mentioned, that they can go and enjoy and create their own memories together. But it also means that we want to have a universe that gives back. We want areas and locations to feel like they're believable and real-life locations. And if you look throughout this year and the patches that we've worked towards, we've had an overarching story that's moved from patch to patch, and we're going through some of those cycles right now. We've also been introducing mission content that has fully voiced dialogue, and facial animation, which allows us to inject some of the meaning and the why to what you are doing as a player. And I think story is integral to Star Citizen as a connective tissue that ties all of these different complex systems together, because it takes players on that journey throughout the game.
To see this big turn this year to start injecting story into the verse, I think people are really responding to it. So everybody knows, and you mentioned just now that this year we changed a whole lot about how we operated, how we released things. How do you think that's gone?
I think it's gone very well.
I think
if the mantra that I've always been pushing this year at the beginning of January was patch always goes. And I think this year has seen a different development strategy, which will be like the new player experience. Will be able for you to go in by yourself, for us to teach you the ropes in a way, easy for you to talk to, and you would just walk in and it would be seamless. You wouldn't know that it would be create experiences that are different open web to create the
stuff like the game and that kind of game. Those of us who spend our days making it know better. It's an everything game. It's everything we can make.
I want to pause here a second. Okay. So me and Thorn chat kind of acknowledge it's going to be very difficult for them to get the Nyx planets in. We've seen no information. There has been no inside Star Citizen in, what would you say, Thorn, about a month now? Easy? Maybe plus? That's not related to a patch? I would say Castra is going to be talked about at some point this year, maybe next year at the start of the year, but I don't know if even Castra is going to make it in the patch. We need to find out from chat, I think we're going to get some sort of game update around the time of Citcon. So we're in late July right now. We're going to revisit this episode, this chapter, here in about, I want to say, 4 months in November, late. We're going to see where we sit. July, August, September, October, November. Yep, 4 months. It'll be 4 months from now. Late November into December. We're going to see where the patches have taken us in 4 months. For good or ill. We already know what they're going to talk about next. To talk about the Vanduul capital ship. So we're going to go back to Citcon. Citizen whatever. Yeah. Huh. They didn't release a 4 point. Hang on. No. Chat, they didn't release a 4.9 trailer. They've been doing trailers for some time. They didn't release one for 4.9. Like, at all. Has anyone noticed that? No trailer for 4.9. They did an ISC, but that was it. Then 2 months ago,
May is known for combat in the Star Citizen universe, or at the very sides of these projects. And while we'll certainly make great, these guys just really don't care for those pro-alien celebrations. It kind of is. All in all, next week's patch is chock full of content that'll carry us through to 4.9 in July, all led by TSG and DefenseCon. And in that new DefenseCon spirit of sharing things early, let's carry that over and talk about the rest of 2026 for a bit. Now, throughout the remainder of this year, we intend to deliver the newly reworked and fully instanced debut of Siege of Origin, the new Genesis-built planets of the Nyx system, Starware and Starchitect goodness, the enormous multi-staged instance Municipal Works operation, a whole bunch of new ships and vehicles and additional gameplay features and quality of life improvements. There's an Apex Sandballa car that can literally pop its head out at any moment. And of course, as if anybody could forget, Squadron 42. There's a lot we got going on for the remainder of this year. And for that reason, we've made the decision not to host a Citcon event for 2026, either in person, digital, direct, or otherwise. It's a decision born out of how important these two games are to everyone on both sides of these projects. And while we'll certainly miss getting to meet so many of you at once, we do encourage you to check out the Bar Citizen World Tour that's well underway, because we always enjoy every opportunity we get to meet you and hear your stories. For instance, I'm going to Amsterdam in a couple weeks. Come find me and tell me how your TSG experiences went. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. As always, thank you for letting us share the people and process of game development with you. And we'll see you here next week at DefenseCon.
Okay, I'm going to be honest and say I'm not very happy right now with
Last week, we announced our decision
yeah, I'm going to be honest. Looking at all these comments, a lot of people are kind of pissed, and rightfully so. So, I'm going to be frank and wrap it up for tonight. I think this is a wind down year ahead of something else. I think Squadron is very soon, probably a matter of months, possibly end of year release into early next year. When is Grand Theft Auto 6 releasing? I am curious. When is it releasing? I've wondered that for some time now. The release is November 12th. Oh, wait. November 19th, 2026. So I guess we'll see what happens with this, guys. Oh, no. I'm just frustrated. You know, like everybody else been a nightmare, you know, this year. The patches have not been kind to people. And yeah, it's been ridiculous. At least I think it is. Oh. I'm just frustrated that it just feels like progress has stalled. Last year, we were literally jumping ahead by freaking quantum leaps. And now it just feels so dead. I don't know, guys. It's just, you know, sort of depressing, I guess. Anywho, I gotta get off here. I'm tired. It's been a long day. I'll chat with you all later. Have a good night. Does anyone have anything final to say? Commentary or anything? Before I get off here? Really start asking. Well, I guess not, but I'll chat with you